Hey there, classmates from PE 555. This is Roberto Aguilar here. So, the discussion this week on technology, I think it's one of the most important aspects for us in general because of how much technology is advancing and being a part of real life issues, in contrary to sports and much activity for students in today's society. It's huge. And just a little in this discussion, for example, says how can we find a healthy balance between engaging with available technology and staying connected for real life experiences. And one of the balances is that, for example, for us as educators, we have to know how we could balance our technology and usage and real life experiences in the classroom. Of course, in physical education, the biggest aspect is real life experiences. So, since we know that today as technology is a huge thing, kids are more on technology than they are actually playing outside. That's when we realize, hey, we got to do something to get them active here while here in class. But at the same time, to get them engaged, I guess we have to input a little bit of technology. So, for example, using apps that help to so that they could do both of a little bit of physical education and at the same time input whatever necessary data and necessary skill asset or anything that would help them in the educational side to input some technology in a classroom asset. And it's a very important aspect that we as educators need to input. Like we said, it's a very huge thing right now. And just reading a little bit of what these videos show us, it shows us how much technology is really advancing and it's a need today in society, such as the recruiting process, getting outside the box in order for us as educators, athletes, and athletic directors in community colleges to use this, towards their advantage. And we can definitely use this towards our advantage to input and make our subject and our material much more interesting and much more engaging for these kids. As far as my values and ethics, how do they impact the way we engage online? Personally, I grew up without technology. I grew up without a computer. I grew up without a phone. I didn't get a phone until I was like 13 or 14. And this is what made me realize, that technology wasn't a huge thing and it wasn't a huge need. Everything that I did personally would just, like my mom says, it has to come from the mind. If it comes from the mind, you'll be able to master so many other things. The way technology has advanced, it makes me realize that, that we, of course, there's a need for it now that it's advancing and now that we have it, but everything has to come from our personal aspect. You know, what do we feel? What do we think? And how can we use it towards whatever we're doing, whether it's our profession, whether it's our a sport or anything in general? How can we use our heart and our mind to use this as an impact and it puts some technology to advance, whether it's our research or anything that we do within our profession. That's what we got to think of, you know and what boundaries or limits do you put on your social media usage? Personally, I don't have much of social media. I have an Instagram account that I use only in necessary aspects, such as work related, or just anything in general that I need to check up on. For example, I follow a lot of athletic sites, athletic pages for Christianity, pages on coaches, teams, and much more on that aspect. And that's what I try to like stay engaged on, so that I could keep advancing my profession. And that's really what I really mostly use for. Anything extra such as chatting with friends or anything else like that. Like I said, I grew up without technology, and once I got it, the number one thing that I did is if I needed to talk with somebody, call them on the phone, text message them and say, "Hey, you available?" or something like that. There's no need for social media in my aspect to go beyond this. I do have it, and I post a couple things here and there just to share, but it's not an everyday thing. It's not something that I'm doing 100%. You know, I'm not checking my social media every 10 minutes or something like that. It's not for me. It's never really not necessary. There's so many other things that I need to do, and that's one of the boundaries that I have put as far as, you know, my social media. And just like it says on just like it said, the usage for many people, it's just high. Every person or individual is checking their social media accounts every often, and that's just something that's really taking up time. You know, it takes up their necessary usage. And what advice can I give to my students or athletes on how they can use technology and social media appropriately? And I would say is that, you know, I will give them the advice that I personally have, which is, if you need to talk to a friend, you see them in school, you could text them, you could call them. That's what we grew up with. You don't really need all this social media stuff because, you know, as we saw in the video, it says there's a lot of hacking going on. You know, it gave a little bit on, you know, on feedback on marriages being broken because of Facebook. You know, that just shows how much social media can affect not just, you know, not just relationships, but in overall people's social life. They're dependent more on technology than they are on actually talking to an actual person. And that's how a lot of people get depressed. That's how a lot of people lower their social life. That's how they have less friends. And when they go out with people, you know, they rarely make a conversation because they don't know how to. They're stuck more on technology and dependent on it. So why do they want to ruin their social life when they can have a social life by having real experiences with people? And that's just something I would tell the youth. So thank you very much. This is my response. I hope to hear from every single one of you guys. And, you know, have a wonderful night. God bless.